Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Keith. So today we're going to be going over the pentatonic scale, the cage system, and how to actually integrate the two. How to take what you know all the cage shapes, you know all the scale positions for the major and minor pentatonic, but we're having a little bit of trouble kind of figuring out how to integrate them into the songs or integrate them into the playing that you're doing on the guitar. So what I'm going to do is roll through a few different keys and a few different methods of how we could do the same thing, especially when you're playing solo acoustic. It sounds amazing, so stick with me and we'll hop right into it. Okay, so to kind of start things off here, the intro that I did, I played it in the key of C, and if you're looking at the key of C major, there's certain chords that fit within that key, just in general as far as what Western music dictates. Now, by all means, you don't have to abide by all the rules of this, but we are going to do it because that's the way that kind of music is made to sound pleasant to the ears. You stick within that key. So I'm going to show you a chart and show you how to decipher that, and we'll run through a few examples. All right, so what I have here is a chart, and it might look really confusing, but we're going to be focusing on major keys here. We're going to look at the G, the D, and the C key. So we have the numbers here 1 through 7, and if we're playing, for example, in the key of C, the 1 chord is the C major, the 2 and the 3 are D minor and E minor respectively, and the 4 and the 5 are a G, that's not a minor, and then the 6 is an A minor, and the 7th is a B diminished or a B minor 7 flat 5. We'll ignore that. Actually, we're just going to be concentrating on these two kind of columns here within each key. So sticking with the C, for example, the 1 chord is the C major and the 2 chord is a D minor. So if we're just sticking with these two, that's what we're going to roll through for these 3 examples here: a C and a D minor, a D and an E minor, and a G and an A minor. Those are all within each respective key. So what I'll have these boxes around here, basically I just squared all the boxes because when you're thinking about songs in a particular key, or if you're thinking about chords within a key, a rule of thumb to remember is the 1, the 4, and the 5 are always major. The rest are minor except for the 7th, which is that diminished chord. So 1, 4, 5 in a major key are major chords, and everything else would be a minor except for the 7th. So for this example, we're going to roll with a C and a D minor. C, D minor. All right, so if we have under our fingers, we have a C major chord right here, and then we have a D minor right here. And of course, you can play the C here and the D minor up here. Same chords. So in this example, what I'm going to do is run through the pentatonic scale and kind of mix them with that. So that intro that I did is exactly that. So let's stick with this open position C chord right here. And what is the major pentatonic scale for that? So remember, this is a C major, so we're going to be playing the major pentatonic scale over that. That will be this. Right? That sounds familiar. That's the My Girl intro. So that is our C major scale. All right, so next up we have a D minor in the open position. What is the D minor pentatonic scale? It would be something like this. If you don't know that, move on up here. Here's a D chord, and here's a D minor, and here's your pentatonic scale up here. All right, so we know those two. We know our cage shapes. We know we could play the C here, play the C here, play the D minor here, play the D minor here. Now, how do we integrate all this kind of stuff? Here's the cool part here. So we're going to be playing in the key of C, and then we're going to use the pentatonic scale and kind of mix in some of those scale forms and shapes within the chords while we're playing. So, for example, if I'm going to roll with a 1 and 2 chord, the C and the D minor, I'm going to play 2 bars of the C, 2 bars of the D minor, and just go back and forth and kind of switch things up here just in the open position. So let's start it off here and just kind of mix things up here again with the pentatonic scale. Now that's pretty cool, right? What did I do there? So again, all that is just mixing in the pentatonics in the second and the fourth bars respectively between the chords to kind of facilitate those chord changes. So starting off with the C, just strumming. It's the first bar, and then I'm gonna kind of noodle around here. All that is just me running through that C major pentatonic scale right before I'm jumping into that D minor. See how it fits perfectly there? It fits perfectly there because the D minor is the second chord in the key of C. And then roll with the D minor pentatonic scale. Back to the C. Now if we want to jump up to the bar chords, same chords. Now what did I do there? Let's just roll through with just the bar chords here with that C. So we have this C bar chord, and then I'm going to roll with the diagonal pentatonic here. So if I know the root right here is on the 3rd fret of the A string, that's our C, then I could do my diagonal pentatonic of the C major scale. That's all it is. And then I jump right into the D minor. And then we know this shape, the D minor pentatonic scale up here is, right? So if I do that, instead of playing that thing from the beginning, I'm going to take this little double stop because that fits right in that D minor pentatonic scale. And then we want to resolve back on the C because that's where the next chord is. Rolling it right back around. Alright, why stop there? Let's just go with the key of G. So we take our little clipboard here and we look at the key of G. G, A minor. That's the 1 and 2 here. So let's do it in open position. So we got a G major. Then an A minor. So the chords, G, A minor. What is the G major scale? The G major pentatonic scale in the open position. Do you know that? There you go. It's the same thing as if we do it up here. Alright, so we have that down. Then we have an A minor. What's the A minor pentatonic scale there? Alright, we start with the A here. We all know it up here, right? But do you know it up here? So we're going to be using those two. So let's roll through the chords and kind of mix in some of those pentatonic scales in between. As simple as that. But what if I wanted to move up to the next position and do them in bar chords? Let's try that again. Alright, so what did I do there? So we have the bar chord here. We know that the root for the G is on the 3rd fret of the low E string, and then we could use the diagonal pentatonic again there. And I have videos for diagonal pentatonics right up here if you don't know them. So, the diagonal pentatonic, let's go from that G. Now I'm moving up to the A minor, which is the same as this A minor, but I'm doing it like this instead, just hitting those top 4 strings. Because what that does is it allows me to do this. And back to the G, or this. So it's these little weaving back and forth between the pentatonic scales, the major and the minor, that makes this so interesting and fun to play. Alright, so next up we have the D. We didn't do that one yet. So what do we have? The 1 and 2 are D and an E minor. Easy enough. This one's actually really fun. So we got a D. Then we have an E minor. Alright, so we know the chords. We have the D up here, then an E minor up here, right? Alright, so now that we know the chords, we need to know the pentatonic. What is the D major pentatonic scale in the open position, right? Do you know that? It's something like this. It starts on the D string because that's our root, right? Alright, so we have that D major scale there, and then what do we have next? The E minor. This is the easy one. Everybody knows the E minor. Alright, they're really similar here, but that makes this one actually really fun. So let's do the D and the E minor, and I'll do everything in the open position with the pentatonics. So let's run through it. Here's a D to the E minor. Let's move up. Okay, so what did I do when I got up here? So we have the D up here. This is a bar chord. We know the D major pentatonic scale. That way. We also know it this way. Then we have the E minor right here. And the E minor pentatonic scale. Put both of those together, and then we could do something like this. The flubs are not included, but you get the point. But that's what I wanted to discuss with you today. You know, you have all these chords, you have all these systems, the cage system, which is a very valuable system to have. You know all your pentatonic scales, but you're either just playing chords or just practicing scales, and I think that's fun, don't get me wrong, but it gets pretty old, especially if you want to do more things. So that's why I brought out the acoustic guitar, because doing a little exercise like this on acoustic just completely changes things up for you because you're able to integrate a lot of the soloing within your chord changes so that you're not just straight smashing away at the guitar playing nothing but chords. You could do little fills here and there, and that's the point of this whole thing. It's just to make it a little more fun and to make it sound good. Alright, so that's the G, D, and C that we did there in different order than that's listed here, but you get the point. So there's a couple different takeaways here. Just remember, if you have a major key, the 1, 4, and 5 are always major chords. Everything else is minor, except for the 7th. Today we just stuck with the 1 and the 2. The 1 is a major, the 2 is a minor, and run through those both and kind of practice those pentatonic scales within those changes. Then you could add everything in and maybe move to a more traditional 1-4-5 or 1-4-6-3 or whatever you want to do. Just remember, major key, major chord, that's the major pentatonic scale. When you move to the minor scale or a minor chord, you use the minor scale for that. So it'll take a little bit of practice, but run through these exercises. Pick those. Those are the easiest chords to kind of run through there. And once you get the picture of how they relate and you could kind of correlate, hey, I got a major here, a C here, I could play that pentatonic scale here. And if I know the next one there would be, what's it? C would be a D minor, right? It really doesn't take much. I mean, you don't have to play all those notes. You could play 1 or 2 notes. Just whatever fits the song is whatever works best. Well, anyway, I hope that was helpful for you. And if it was, please like, subscribe, share. Hopefully I can hit 500 subs by the end of the month. And that means the end of the year. So you have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. That was better.